Hello everyone, this is Rob from Infinite Combo, back with part 3 of our Tour of Duty and Metal System info series. I don't know if I would call it a tutorial. So, in the first part we talked about the basics of Tour of Duty, as well as the escape game mode. In part 2, we talked about the Horde game mode. So finally, the last piece, and depending on the skill level of the player, quite possibly the longest piece, is going to be the versus multiplayer. Please excuse the relatively poor gameplay in the background. I am not the best PvP player at Gears of War. Haven't really been since Gears 2 maybe, early Gears 3. So there's really only like two sections that are kind of like separated with the versus medals in Gears 5 during Operation 1. The first section is quick play. These medals can only be earned in the quick play game modes. So there's one for getting 10 wins in the co-op versus AI game mode, which is really meant for beginners to get their feet wet in versus. It's you matchmake with 5 other people. You play as the cog every time, and you just play against 5 bots, and you can choose the difficulty from beginner up to the highest difficulty in the game. Then there's getting 10 classic quick play wins, and then there's getting 15 wins in the new arcade game mode. Arcade was kind of meant to be your first foray into the multiplayer after you kind of learned the ropes with some co-op versus AI. As you'll see in a lot of the gameplay video in the background, shotguns is basically the meta in Gears of War 5, or Gears of War in general. So if you're not used to the shotguns, in arcade mode, depending on the character you play as, you start with different weapons, and as you get eliminations, you earn skulls to upgrade your weapons and get better ones. So most characters don't get a shotgun, so it's a little easier on newer players for sure. So those are all of the ones that are in quick play. The next section is stuff that you can only get in the ranked game modes. Now quick play is drop in, drop out. Often when you matchmake, you will end up in a game in progress, have to wait for a bot to die, or eventually the game will just spawn you in and kill the bot. Ranked game modes, you actually search using matchmaking, skill-based matchmaking, in an attempt to get an even game. And there are quitting penalties, and there is a ranking system where, depending on how well you do in the match and whether you win or not, you gain points to go up and down the ranks from I'm guessing bronze is probably the lowest, all the way up to master. So the ranked game modes, there is a medal for getting a win in each of the 4 ranked game modes that there's a medal associated with, and then for getting 10 wins in each of these 4 game modes. So the 4 game modes are King of the Hill, Escalation, Guardian, and Team Deathmatch. Escalation will probably be the hardest for most players because it is a rather complicated mode, and it is the premier esports game mode for Gears, so it can be difficult to get into. You will very often get players complaining. You will get hate mail, especially if you're not good. I have not actually played Escalation myself at all. I am a little intimidated by it. The ranked modes is probably where you're best trying to find some friends. Try to find a group of people that you can play with that can do some work, because not only can versus be frustrating at times, it can be very, very luck based. I've had plenty of games where I get the MVP, but I'm on the losing team. The rest of my teammates didn't really do too much, and I had 0 ways of winning that game, considering because I was the MVP, I obviously played my absolute best in that game, and we lost still, often by a lot. So it can be a little luck based on what you get for teammates, who you get for opponents. So especially the ranked game modes, I would recommend finding a squad of at least 2 or 3 that you can roll with, because I feel like when I'm playing in a group of 3 or 4 people, we usually win more often. Definitely not all the time, because the game will try to, you know, match you up with people in larger groups as well. So there are a few other medals that can only be done in Versus. You need to get 25 wins playing as COG characters, 25 wins playing as Swarm characters. The COG characters is actually really easy to do because you can do it in co-op versus AI, because you always play as the COG. As an example, I did a lot of co-op versus AI because you can get that and the classic quick play wins all at the same time for the 10 of each. And then a lot of times when I had some versus ones, if I didn't really feel like playing against regular players, I would just play co-op versus AI. The wins as the Swarm, you have to play a normal game mode. Just hope that when you're the Swarm that you're the team that's doing better. And just, you know, play hard. Finally, you need to get 1,000 kills in Versus. Now, kills would be dealing the final point of damage. You need to get 2,500 eliminations, which is just putting any sort of damage into an enemy and then they die. That'll count as an elimination. And then you need to do 1 million damage in Versus, which honestly isn't too bad. I think I've played maybe 50 to 60 games so far, just in working on medals, because I kind of started with Escape and then I moved to Horde, and I play a little bit of Versus here and there, but it's not my primary focus on medals. And I've gotten to about 700,000 damage, so there are a few other things you can get in this game mode. The Lancer GL, the Breaker, the Claw, the Cryo Cannon, the Talon Pistols, and frag grenades all spawn on most of these maps, so you can work on your kills for those specific weapons. There are easier ways to do them, but if you're a Versus player, you can get all of those pretty easily. Reviving your teammates, getting 150 executions, 1,000 headshots, and then just your overall 9,000 kills, 15,000 eliminations, and 15 million damage, all will accumulate in this game mode as well. So that basically covers everything in Tour Duty, all of the medals. I have been really working on my grind to get to General before the end of Operation 1. I should be there very, very shortly, and we still have about 12 weeks left as I'm recording this video. And I'm at the top of Captain right now, I believe. Whenever I finish my current rank, I get the Team Medal skin set. So all it really is just playing, learning how to play the game, learning the movement, and doing your best to not play poorly. And again, at worst case, if you're playing King of the Hill, just try to work the objective. If you're not the greatest with shotguns, put some damage into enemies that are shotgun fighting your teammates with a Lancer. You'll get eliminations, you'll help your teammates, and you know, it'll just make the kill that much easier for your teammates if you're putting a little bit of damage into them. Just try to play the objective, try to play as a team. If you're playing solo, just choose a player out of spawn and follow them, stick with them. It takes a little bit of practice. This game is very, very high learning curve for the multiplayer. There are plenty of other great multiplayer tutorials and shotgun tutorials out there to kind of teach you how to play the game better. I am definitely not the best person to be telling you how to do this stuff, so go look up some of the Gears Esports Pro players. A lot of them will have tutorials on how to be better at the game. And other than that, I'm hoping to bring you a little bit more Gears 5 content, especially when the operation changes. If we get changes to the Tour Duty system and changes to the medals, I'll do another overview of those as well. And thank you all for watching. Really appreciate it. Do the YouTube stuff if you can. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell for notifications. And until next time, stay infinite.